Hello, everyone, and welcome to today Unleashing the Power of Women Voices by Women Thrive. My name is Ramonda Jan, and I will be one of your hosts for today's show. Now, we have had so many amazing speakers come through our doors at the Women Thrive Summit. Every year, we have nearly 1,000 applications from speakers who want to take the stage because there are so many women around the world who have powerful, beautiful stories that can inspire and impact somebody else's life. This year, we had more than 1,000 applications for our event, and we have shortlisted 50 amazing speakers that will take stage at our annual Women Thrive event. Now, Women Thrive events are all about women empowerment, all about supporting female entrepreneurs, business owners, and those who are interested in personal development to grow in business as well as life. Whether it's talking about entrepreneurship, mindset, growing through leadership, through collaboration, public speaking. We have speakers from all around the world speaking on subjects on all the areas that are relevant for women to grow their businesses as well as to grow as people. Now, if you're joining this live right now or watching this on replay, do make sure you leave a comment in the chat, introduce yourself, let us know where you're joining from. Today, you're in for a treat because we have lined up 5 amazing speakers in today's showcase, and this evening we have another event where we have 11 amazing speakers. We have had to add additional showcase or additional hour to the Unleashing Power Women Voices event because we have so many people who requested from all around the world, from Australia, Europe, a different time zone. So ability to watch this event live from different time zones. What I would love for you to do is to make sure you share it. So share this event if you're watching this right now, live or on replay. Share it to your social media followers because, as we all know, social media algorithms doesn't always play in our favor. And in the spirit of women supporting women, us coming together in collaboration, in empowerment, what I want to do is to make sure that we spread a message for other women because today's stories, today's women that are coming on this showcase are going to be sharing their own personal, amazing stories about their businesses, about their own personal journeys, and how they got there. And it would be so amazing to have your support. Now, let me see who's here today. Raise your hand, drop a heart in the chat, and do make sure you share it. For those of us joining on StreamYard, you can also restream it to your own social media platforms. So do make sure you click that and just restream it. So, as I said, I am the founder of the Women Thrive Media, and I want to tell you a little bit about where we began so you get an idea of why this is so important for us, as well as globally, to have these events, to unleash women's voices, to create a stage and a platform for women to stand up and share their message. Now, ever since I can remember, I used to be a really quiet girl. I used to be one of those women who would be afraid to walk up to someone in a networking event and start a conversation. My voice was always really quiet and timid. And I was so afraid of public speaking that I would avoid it by any means. It wasn't all I was in my mid 20s and I had this desire to start hosting women events. In 2017, I started to network with more female entrepreneurs and see the potential of women in business and collaboration and creating communities of like minded women. So I had this crazy idea one night to say, hey, how about we host an event for women? How about we put together this get together for female entrepreneurs and create an event? And so I set out to create this one event in 2017 on a whim with this crazy idea, and I called it Women in Business. Before I knew it, people were already booking their tickets to attend our event. But what I didn't think through is that I would have to become a speaker on stage. I would have to host this event. So, of course, I was faced with my own fears of showing up on stage, speaking, sharing my own personal story. And I've had to really overcome my own limitations when it comes to sharing my story on stage. Rest assured, it's not an easy thing to do because speakers and in especially on our stage are quite vulnerable. They're sharing their personal stories, overcoming adversity, things that they have faced in life, and it's not an easy thing to do. So that was my story as well. I remember the first time I had to get up on stage and share my story. I had sweaty palms. I was so afraid. I was so afraid that I delayed our event by more than half an hour to begin the event. And I remember standing there, my palms sweating, and I'm like, oh my God, the minute I tell the audience to go take seats, I will have to get up on stage and start this event. But it wasn't just about starting the event, it was actually about sharing my story. That story was a story of me failing in my first business. I was going to go vulnerable and tell the world about my own failures, which wasn't an easy thing. At that time, I saw it as a failure. Today, I see that story as a stepping stone, as a brave girl who started her business at the age of 21, way bigger than she was able to handle. And of course, she didn't have all the backing, she didn't have all the experience, and that didn't fly. So for me to get up on stage and share this personal story was really raw and vulnerable. But I found the strength and I got up on that stage. I shared a story. And at the end of the event, women came up to me and said, when is the next event? We really felt like we could resonate with other women's stories. It gave me strength. It gave me inspiration. It gave me encouragement. And from that day on, I decided that this will become something that I continue to do because I wanted to see more women on stage. I want to see more women collaborating, coming together, talking about our businesses, talking about the issues that we face. And something magical happens. That's what I realized at the first event. That when women come together in a spirit of collaboration, empowerment, supporting each other, collaboration over competition, something really, really magical happens. All of a sudden, we lean into our feminine energy, our strengths, our vulnerabilities. We open our hearts. We have genuine conversations. We talk about the things that we're struggling with, and in doing so, allowing other people to see that they are not alone. I've met so many women who have faced immense struggles and challenges. And rest assured, when you are faced with challenge or a struggle, you feel so alone. You feel like you're the only person going through that struggle. And I've been there too. In my mid 20s, I lost my voice due to trauma. I was in deep depression. I didn't know how I was going to get myself out there. But I knew that I had to do something. It felt so lonely, as if I was the only person going through it. Only when I shared my story with the world that I realized there were other people who were going through similar experiences. Today, my mission is to create a stage, a platform that Women Thrive is today for other women to share their stories with the world, to own the power of their story and their voice. For a girl who was quiet, who was timid, who was afraid to speak on stage, who lost her voice in mid-20s, today I am a speaker, I am an author, I lead and host events like Women Thrive and our summit every year, hosting more than 50 speakers. In 1 week, I could go hosting 60 hours of speaking. I mean, if you look at that story, that was impossible at the age of in my mid-20s. I thought it was going to be impossible becoming a speaker. Today, not only do I speak, but also empower other women to have their stories heard on stage. So I hope you join us for today's event, Unleashing the Power of Women's Voices. I see our speakers lining up. I can see they're so excited to get started. But before we do that, I want to invite our co-host, Abigail, who has been behind the scenes, supporting the summit, creating this magic alongside me. And as you may have seen, she has been also co-hosting the Unleash the Power of Women's Voices event. Abby, how are you today? What are you excited about for today's event?
Oh, hi everyone. Hi, Ramonda. I am always excited to hear about the speakers and their stories and just to feel their beautiful energy um, on every event that we do. But what you were just talking about, collaboration over competition, that really speaks to me. And this is why we're so aligned in the work that we all do. This is about really sharing and honoring and celebrating one another. We've been in competition for so long, especially as women, to compare ourselves to one another and to be in competition with one another. And when we hold events like this, where we're really holding a space for one another, we're cheerleading one another, we are collaborating together. Incredible things happen when women collaborate, and we can't do this on our own. We talk about this so much, Ramonda. This is about really empowering one another and helping to one another grow. So I am so, so excited for this event, and I'm excited that we get to do it twice today.
Yes, me too. And if me and you had the same mindset of, oh, this is competition, we would never be here right now, sat in this room together, doing this magical work because we saw way past competition and decided to embrace collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. We were having a conversation about it yesterday, weren't we? Because we were saying actually we're quite similar in our messaging and what we do. We deliver it in a different way, and we're obviously very different people. We have different energies, and it's delivered in a different way. And I guess the vehicle is different, but
Yeah.
actually the destination is the same. We're all about empowering the voices of women, helping women to be more visible, more confidently expressed, and being able to have that confidence to speak on virtual stages, to speak on in-person stages, to speak on social media, and really stand in our thought leadership. And we always have choices. We can either look at one another and say, we can look at another woman and say, that's my competition, or we
Yeah.
can look at another woman and say, that's my inspiration. And when you choose inspiration, that's where the growth happens. That's where the magic happens. So I'm very excited to be on this journey with you, Ramonda.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you part of Women Thrive now and cheerleading the women. And as we grow, I realized I've always had this mindset there's so much more than just me, or it's not about me at all. And in order to grow and create more opportunities and create bigger platform for everyone, I realized that you have to allow other people to come in and support you. And I always say I couldn't have done this without people in my team, people in my community, those who are watching our events, those who are speaking on our stages. That's why I always say we, because it really isn't about me. This may have been a summit idea that I had a vision for, but it's other people who have come together to be part of this amazing vision that they have built this stage. Because without you all, there wouldn't be Women Thrive, right? I wouldn't be doing this all on my own and it wouldn't be fun. So, collaboration over competition all day long. And I just love seeing women shine and just the transformation they experience as a result of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the vision and the mission of Women Thrive to create platforms like this, but um, the actual movement is the speakers, the speakers that are on our stage and our audience. So we're all in this together. We've created this movement together, and it's so beautiful to see it. Like every single week, we get more and more momentum. Every time, our speakers come on these stages or our audience watches these events, and as we're moving towards the summit, it's just gaining momentum, momentum, momentum. And it's so beautiful to witness and be involved in. So
Yeah.
thank you everyone for being involved in this. Thank you for our incredible speakers and our audience.
Yeah.
It's a real collaborative event.
Yeah, and our team, that's for sure. So if you're watching this,
Absolutely.
thank you, Abby. Yes, for sure. Definitely wouldn't be able to do this on my own. And now I have a little baby. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to run a business. Let me tell you that. So if you're watching this now, please do share it with the world. If you are on StreamYard, you can also restream it to your social media followers right now. So do make sure you click that restream button. We are just few moments away from unleashing the power of women voices. Who's feeling excited? Leave a comment below. Let us know. Few more minutes to go. So before we do that, I have a beautiful testimonial lined up from a lady who was on our summit this year. And I want you to hear the stories of women who have shared the stage on our platform, or share their voice on our platform, and just see what is that experience, what is that transformation. It's not only just for the speakers, but also attendees, because I have heard so many incredible stories of people being touched by the power of the stories, being inspired, being motivated, and really taking a completely different turn in their lives. So if I may ask my tech team to go ahead and play this beautiful testimonial next, please.
My name's Caroline Bellinger. I am a self-esteem coach, a business coach, a speaker, a wellness warrior, and an author. And my purpose in the world is to empower women to create powerful self-esteem and reclaim their lives and just live the life that they really, truly deserve with happiness and joy. I just absolutely fell in love with Raimonda the first time I heard her speak, her energy and her authenticity.
I am a subconscious health practitioner as well as a professional writer and poet.
My name's Caroline Bellinger. I am a self-esteem coach, a business coach, a speaker, a wellness warrior, and an author. And my purpose in the world is to empower women to create powerful self-esteem and reclaim their lives and just live the life that they really, truly deserve with happiness and joy. I just absolutely fell in love with Raimonda the first time I heard her speak, her energy and her authenticity. So both on stage, I'd done a few keynotes, but I still found that I got nervous. I could be highly strung and very anxious with things like speaking, especially in front of people. So the whole process with the Thrive Summit gave me that confidence in myself, which meant that when I came to speak, I didn't have all those usual nerves and I could just be myself. As part of the process, we had like weekly Zoom meetings with each other. So I think just constantly talking about our topics, about who we are, about what we did to other women gave us that experience of showcasing ourselves before the actual event. So that was a really big growth moment for me of being part of the summit. There's something really powerful about bringing women together in that context where it was a very supportive environment. Bringing women together to support each other is such a powerful energy that will help make the world a better place. I genuinely, heartfelt believe that. For me, it definitely increased my brand awareness. I have actually just been promoted to trainer and MC, my business coaching world. So I actually MC'd an event for over 500 entrepreneurs recently. I can definitely attribute my confidence at speaking at that event to the experience I had working with Raimonda. I totally relate to people not investing in themselves, to people not feeling good enough or worthy or capable. That was me, 10 years ago. And the thing I have learnt in life is that, when opportunities come along, have that confidence just to trust if it is right for you. If you're having that moment where you go to yourself, I really want to do this, but then start overthinking it, putting the barriers up to why, then I would say take this opportunity to believe in yourself, because there won't be many opportunities where you will be in such a supportive environment that will elevate your brand and give you the skills and the knowledge to become a really good and empowered speaker and, you know, share who you are. And that's a healing journey in itself. That was one of the other beautiful things I saw happen in that 6 months, is to watch women who had no confidence in themselves at the start transform into these incredible, powerful speakers with these amazing stories that they share to inspire other women. I can't speak highly enough of Raymonda, in that she has a gift for bringing out the best in people in a really genuine, caring, authentic way. And if you have that opportunity in life, I'm a big believer in saying yes and trusting in yourself that it will be exactly what is meant to be for you.
Thank you so much for this beautiful testimonial for Caroline. I hope you have enjoyed this and just saw the potential of what happens when you say yes to your dreams and be inspired to share your story. There's a true healing and transformation that happens in the process of doing so. Now, I am so excited to get ready to rumble and see our incredible speakers on our stage. And the first speaker is going to be so dynamic to inspire you to make some changes in your life. When I heard her story, I was so inspired and I said, well, we really have to have you on our stage. Next up, we have Claire Garner, who is spiritual success coach and serial entrepreneur, and she aims to guide, mentor, and uplift visionaries, showcasing that ambition doesn't eclipse spirituality. It bolsters it. So I'm excited to have Claire take the stage. Welcome, Claire. I'm looking forward to seeing your talk today.
Thank you so much for having me. Okay, let's get this show on the road. So who's ready for a bit of motivation? Who's ready for a bit of inspiration? If you've got big dreams, big hopes, big aspirations, stick around. This talk is for you. So I want to ask you now, before we dive in, I want you to type in the chat, if you have ever felt like your dreams are so big, you don't know how you're ever going to materialize them. They just seem so far out of your realistic opportunities. I feel you. That was me. And I want to take you on my journey from where I was to where I am now. So most people know me for my successes. They know me as the serial entrepreneur. They know me as the successful multiple six-figure businesswoman, the woman in different sectors, the courageous one, the confident one, the one who's not afraid to go against the grain, throw out the rule book and just do it her own way. The rebel, the disruptor, the trailblazer, right? That's me. But what most people don't realize is that for most of my life, I was afraid. I would come home from those high-level meetings and I would be too scared to open my own front door. See, I was in a 15-year abusive relationship where anxiety crippled me. The feeling of overwhelming frustration, of this vulnerability, looking in the mirror with shame and disbelief that this person, this reflection, this imposter was meant to be me. But the worst part of all was that it was my own fear of failure that kept me there, that stopped me from spreading my wings, that stopped me from being who I was meant to be. Because we have a tendency to let fear stop us in our tracks. It paralyzes us, it freezes us, right? And it robs us of our dreams. Have you ever had a time where you've known that something was meant for you? You've known that this is the path you were meant to take, but you're stuck. You can't seem to move. You can't seem to take the action. You're paralyzed. Because that was me for those 15 years. But I knew that I was meant for more. I knew that I had big dreams, big goals, big aspirations. I knew that I was meant to make a big impact in the world. And most of all, I knew that I wanted to be a better role model for my girls. I wanted to show them what a woman was capable of, what a woman was worthy of, and what a woman was made of, right? It was time to do it scared. It was time to woman up, and it was time to lean into the fear. And I did it. And I used all of my strength and all of my might to transmute that fear, to use it to feed this incessant yearning, to ignite this really deep burning, and to build on my inner knowing that I wasn't meant to live ordinary. I wasn't here for mediocrity. I was here to experience extraordinary. I was here to live a legacy. I was here to be a luminary. That's who I was meant to be. And so I ask you now, what is stopping you? What is stopping you from stepping into your dreams? What is stopping you from living the life that you know that you're meant for? Because fear robs us. It robs us of the very essence of who we're meant to be. And this is why I'm so passionate about empowering you to step out of the shadows, step into your light, and become the visionary. Because I dream of a world where we don't have to hide our big dreams, where we can remove all of the shame and the jealousy, where we stand together, united in camaraderie, where we lift each other up, united in our strength as one big family, where women reach, rise, and we roar together because we know all of our gifts are needed for the sake of humanity, where we turn our fear into fuel, we turn our pain into purpose, we turn our dreams into our destiny. This is the way, this is the life, and this is the path of being a visionary. So I ask you now, who would you be on the other side of your fear? Who would you be if you dared yourself to dream a little bigger? Who would you be if you weren't afraid of being seen? Thank you.
Claire, oh my goodness, that fear often holds us back. I am so cheering for you right now for taking that leap, for overcoming that fear, for being here to inspire and tell your story to other women, just what's possible. How did it feel when you said yes to yourself and yes to your goals and dreams and really step to the potential of what could happen?
It's scary, right? But it's knowing that that fear means that it's for us. It's knowing that it's not meant to stop us, that it's here to lead us, and we're meant to lean into it. And when we do that, the life that we truly desire is on the other side of it. And this is why it's so important to not try and avoid it, not let it just block us, but to actually use it and let it be our fuel.
I love that. And it surely is your fuel because you have been really stepping into.
Oh, the hands are shaking.
Hey, do it and do it scared if you have to, but just do it. How good does it feel to actually step into your potential now?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think, when you allow yourself to do it scared, miracles happen. And this is what you're made for, right? This is what being a visionary is all about. Doing it first, doing it scared, leading the way for others.
Amazing. And Claire, you're speaking at the Women Thrive Summit in March. Tell us a little bit more about your talk coming up.
Yeah, so we're going to dive deep into the topic of fear, because fear is something that robbed me of so many years, not only in my personal life, but also in my entrepreneurial endeavors. It's both intertwined, and I want to dive deep into how we can, 1, recognize it, 2, transmute it, and 3, overcome it. So yeah, we're going to be removing those blocks and stepping into the vision of who we're here to be.
Amazing, Claire. Thank you so much for sharing this message. So important, so inspiring. And please, if you feel inspired by Claire and you want to connect with her, do make sure you follow on her social media handle that you can see on screen right now, Empowered Phoenix Rise, and drop her a message. Let her know that you just watched her on stage and how her message resonated. And you feel a little bit afraid to step into that potential and follow your dreams, just get in touch with Claire. I'm sure she'll have few words to share with you. Thank you, Claire, very much. And I look forward to seeing you on the summit.
Thank you. Bye.
Appreciate it. Wow. This is such an amazing way to kick off today's event, Unleashing the Power of Women's Voices by Women Thrive. What I want you to do is to make sure you share this live stream right now, if you're watching this on replay, to your own social media, so we can reach more people all around the world. And our speakers are joining us from all around the world. Some of these ladies are joining from the UK, others from Australia, USA, and all other parts of the world. Next up, I have a beautiful speaker who is going to be talking to you a little bit more about her story and what she does. So, Sarah Lloyd, PR alchemist and brand awareness expert who specializes in working in flow. So that has thrown the rule book out the window, and her mission is to teach and guide others to share their stories without fear on their own terms. Sarah, welcome to the Speaker Showcase.
Hey Ray, how's it going?
I'm so excited to hear you on our stage. Your message is so powerful and important, I think, for women, because like Claire said, getting up on stage, sharing our message, being visible is not an easy thing to do. And you support women in sharing their stories in an authentic way. So I'm looking forward to hearing your story today.
Thank you. And, you know, following Claire, I mean, I think I'm taking what Claire said and amplifying it, and which is what you and Abigail both were talking about at the very beginning of the summit, right? So yeah, I'd love to share. Hi, everyone. It's so amazing to meet you all. I'm Sarah. I'm a PR expert, storyteller, cheerleader of female leaders. I'm very passionate about female empowerment, and it was my own personal story that kind of led me down this path of creating my own business on my terms. Again, a bit like Claire, I suffered with crushing anxiety. I had postnatal depression after my second child, and I realized after getting to the top of my global corporate career that basically I just needed something else. And what happened to me was I took myself on a women's retreat and sat in circle for a week. I'd never been in circle with any female groups. And I mean, that's what's so amazing about Women Thrive, is that there's such a supportive community. And this will filter into my talk when I get there. The importance of being surrounded by a supportive, loving community of women who are not there to stamp on you to get ahead. They are there to support you and show you and lift you up and cheer you on. That's what I felt in this retreat that I was sitting in. 6 months later, I was made redundant and I skipped out of there. I skipped out of my global role and I created a business, a PR business, to support women business owners like yourselves, with a view to sharing stories. What I actually do is I empower business owners to inspire, educate, and connect through the power of public relations and storytelling. Truth starts and ends with the individual, and a better dialogue with ourselves leads to better dialogue with others. And what I found in my way of working in publicity is you need to be really clear with your own story. You really need to get to that crux of the matter and fall in love with your story, right? Because if you're not in love with your story, then how the hell are you going to share it with others? So my role is to work with female leaders to really help them fall in love with everything about them. Warts and all, be vulnerable, be scared, fall into that fear piece. Everybody has been there. And I feel like if we tell, what I tend to do with my clients is if we're clear about our truth, then we are able to share it and amplify it. And that then activates and encourages people to gravitate towards you and your business. So my talk is around PR without the push, the beauty of sitting in community, showing up in a way that feels good, having the open and vulnerable conversations, and also securing media coverage to then basically set yourselves up as a thought leader. I like to call PR is a great tool for trust. And I have a little analogy. So with regards to trust, you think of the words, so tell your story in an authentic and truthful way. And that starts with you. Develop and create relationships. So relationships with media, relationships with other women in your circles, which leads to places like here. Underpin all your communications. So all of your communications should be united energetically. We can talk about brand awareness and everything looking lovely, but if your energy isn't right, people feel that. That then enables you to sell more stuff. There's the S from trust. Sell more stuff, sell more services, sell yourself. And then finally, that T, you're establishing trust and you are establishing yourself as a thought leader in your spaces. So my talk is going to be around PR without the push, but it's also going to be underpinned by that trust piece. So I'm really grateful for appearing on the stage today and sharing my story with you. So thank you again. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah Lloyd _ is PR. Sorry, I lost my words there. I haven't had enough coffee. That's all I can say. So thank you so much, Ray, for having me. Put my teeth in.
Oh, not at all. It does feel pressure. And I think who else better to say and talk about this than a PR expert herself, that you've seen what it's like for women to put themselves forward. You've seen what it's like, that it's not an easy thing to share our stories. And I talk about this all the time. So, we're all humans. We're all humans. And that fear really, really kicks in. What would you say to someone who have the desire to really step out, but they really don't know what makes their story magical?
The first thing I would suggest to them is to go back through the last 5 years and look for the sliding door moments, those moments in time where we could have chosen a different path, because often those parts or those paths, those forks in the road of what are the inspiring stories actually for other people. So I talked about my redundancy. I could have continued on in my career. Yeah. My redundancy was the part that, springboarded me into a whole new space. So that's one of the stories that I often tell. So yeah.
What fuels your passion to do the work that you do today?
I just love cheering other women on. There's so many amazing sitting in that circle on that retreat, sitting in the space in Women Thrive. There's so many amazing stories. Women are so strong and so amazing and so brave, and they need to be celebrated. And basically, I love there's nothing better than seeing people in print. I love it. So yeah, that's my favorite thing ever.
Oh, amazing. So if you are looking to share your story with the world, if you're not sure where is the magic in your story and you want some guidance and support in how to share your story with media and PR, please do make sure you get in touch with Sarah Lloyd. She is across different social media channels. Google her, find her website, track her down, and just tell her, Sarah, I am ready to share my story. Tell me how. All right. So, and tell her that you found her here at Women Thrive stage. Good to see you,
Thank
Sarah.
you.
So this is Sarah Lloyd, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to her story. And yes, being visible is not an easy thing. And I've struggled with the same thing. I thought, well, who wants to know about my mission, about my story? I always knew I had big dreams and goals, but then at times I really struggled to share that story. Today, we get to do so much more than just share women's stories on our stage and through our events and virtual events, we actually also have Women Thrive magazine. So for those of you who have perhaps not seen it, not heard the news, that Women Thrive magazine is now in print. And yes, you can have a copy of the Women Thrive magazine at womenthrivemagazine.com and register yourself to be on our platform. Now, we are open for contributors. So if you are looking to write about your area of expertise, you feel passionate about an area of business that you're in right now, you want to share your story, you want to share your tips and nuggets of knowledge with other women, do make sure you apply to contribute your knowledge to our magazine. We're looking for experts all year round. We have issues coming out every single month that's being shipped globally. And of course, you can subscribe to our magazine so you can have a physical copy of our magazine, which was the starting point for me as an entrepreneur. I remember I started reading business magazines that really opened my mind to entrepreneurship, personal development. How could I take those next steps in making my business success? So this is what we have in our magazine. We talk about business, entrepreneurship, mindset, self-care, and finances, and so many other things that you are going to probably enjoy. Oh, we got more speakers, and I want to invite my co-host Abigail to actually introduce our next speaker. But Abby, what do you take from this conversation so far from our speakers who are speaking about visibility? And as a visibility expert, I'm sure that's really close to your heart as well.
Yeah, it is. I love the fact that the speakers on our stage and all of the women in our community actually have different modalities, but really have very similar ambition and motivation and the drive to really empower one another. You know, listening to what Claire was talking about, you know, we're all human and there are so many things that can scare us and there are so many things that can hold us back from being visible. You know, worries about being rejected, criticized. What if no one will show up? What, you know, if no one will listen to me? Massive imposter syndrome. Who am I to speak on a stage? Who am I to write a book? Who am I to be on the front, you know, of a magazine? And all these things that can hold us back, but actually standing in that fire and stepping through that fear. You know, there's this beautiful quote, and I can't remember who it's by, but I always quote it. It's like, once you've incredible things happen at the other side of fear. Incredible things happen at the other side of fear. And then the self-love piece that Sarah was talking about, so important for us to really fall deeply in love with ourselves and to accept ourselves. You know, to accept those parts of ourselves that maybe we do feel, maybe we felt ashamed of in the past, or we do feel that are failures, or, you know, maybe mistakes that we've made in the past, to actually embrace that, because that humanness can really help us to be able to connect very deeply with one another, especially as we enter into this, you know, interesting world of AI and automation and, you know, chat GDP and everything that's out there. It's so important for us to keep our humanness, to really have that human connection. So everything that is being shared today is really feeding into that visibility piece. And, you know, really, when we support one another, we can feel more empowered and more confident to really step out of our comfort zones and into our visibility. So I find that our talks have been incredibly inspirational so far, and we've only had 2. I mean, there's more to come, right?
I know, it's magical. It's so beautiful to see these amazing women on our stage. You touched on something and you said, who am I to be seen on a cover of a magazine, or who am I to step out? How potent is really this imposter syndrome? And I'm sure there are people watching this right now and thinking, I could never do this. Like Clara just got up on stage and she's like, oh my God, with all this confidence, she just come out. And what you probably don't know, that this year is the first year that Claire is stepping out as a speaker. This was some of the first speaking engagements for her. and she's taken it as like fearless. So when you watch these women on stage, you may think, oh my goodness, they're amazing. Like, if I could do that, I could conquer the world. But what you don't know is, of course, all these women may have had their own challenges. So what's your take on women who might be struggling with that imposter syndrome and thinking, am I good enough to do this?
You know, I can really relate to that, and I can relate to your story as well, Ramonda, about losing your voice. You know, I was raised to really not have a voice, very disempowering environment, especially for women. And it took me a long time to actually find that confidence within myself. And I was very good at masking, very good. You know, I'd go out there and I'd be perceived as a very confident, outgoing, loud person. But inside, I was very, very afraid. And ultimately, I think through the work that I've done myself, I've realized that I was very afraid of being rejected by other women. You know, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to be accepted by the crowd. And I think that, you know, definitely through the work that I've done and being in communities like this with women and feeling that fear, you know, Claire was talking about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. That has then enabled me to be able to really step into that self-love piece as well that Sarah was talking about. So, you know, just really trying not to be affected too much by the opinion of others, and really thinking about, what do I want to create in this world? What is the legacy that I want to leave in this world? But most importantly, what does my audience want to hear? And I think that when we can stop thinking about ourselves, because it's always going to be scary. I love to speak on stages. I love to speak on stages, but you know, if I go and speak on a big stage at a conference, I am shaking like a leaf. I'm shaking, shaking, shaking. It still terrifies me, to be honest with you, but then I step into it and then I'm like, oh, I love it so much. I love it so much. Now, if I let that fear stop me from going on that stage, then I wouldn't do it. So it's really allowing ourselves to step out of that, to really feel into that fear and really come back to that self-love piece. So I think really being confident in your own message and for trying to forget or learning the techniques. And Ramonda, you're so good at this. You're so good in your mentorship and your expertise and your guidance in really helping women ground themselves, feel into their body, come out of your head into your body, ground yourself when you're coming on and you're speaking on any platform. When we can step out of that fear and stop thinking about ourselves and start to think about others, we're stepping out of fear and we're stepping into love, because actually we're coming out of the worry, the monkey brain chatter, and we're stepping into, what is the message that my audience really need to hear right now? How can I be in service to others? How can I bring my gifts into the world and transform them? And that makes us incredible leaders when we're actually stepping into the service of others instead of being in our heads and being in the fear. So I would highly recommend that if anyone is feeling the comparison game, the imposter syndrome, the fear, really go back to, what is your mission? What is your purpose in this world? How do you want to inspire others? And start to think about the ways that you can do that and that you can step through the fear and really share your voice and your message powerfully on whatever stage you want to speak on. And obviously our speakers are doing that on our Women Thrive stage, and it's so incredible and beautiful to witness.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Just beautiful, inspiring words, really, really encouraging. Before I interview our speakers on, let's say, podcasts, I always say, just for a moment, imagine the person that you are here to serve, to speak to them. And what would you want to say to them? And it's not about you. It's about the message. It's about the stage. It's about doing your purpose work. And I always try to take that different approach, because as speakers, we so much think about ourselves too much, and it gives a lot of fear before you speak. And this is something that I have had to learn. And at the beginning, I also shared, I also had that fear of speaking massively. I had to overcome myself so many times to begin speaking and grow that confidence, but only with action, only with showing up and constantly practicing that muscle, that you actually start to master the power of speaking. And through our stage, what you may not know, that we actually host more than 30% of our speakers on our stage are first-time speakers. These are women who have never really spoken before in public or done a public speaking engagement before. Our mission is to create this platform where not only we showcase really amazing, inspiring, and experienced speakers who've been doing this for many years, but also women who are successful, who have beautiful stories, but perhaps never had the opportunity to share their stories on stage. So this is one of our missions at Women Thrive, to make sure that we create at least 30% of our spots that are dedicated to first-time speakers and support them through that growth journey, giving them various opportunities to practice sharing their story in different capacities. So if you are interested in just being part of our community in any way, observing these speakers, watching them, supporting them, and then hopefully one day becoming a speaker yourself, do make sure you head over to womenthrivesummit.com. Abigail, we got a few more amazing speakers today, so I let you introduce our next speaker.
We have, and I love human design so much. It's an incredible tool, and I'm so honored to introduce an expert in that field, a really inspirational woman who is going to come on and share really about that piece, stepping through the fear, being aligned and really feeling and tapping into the beautiful energy that we all hold within ourselves. So I'm very excited to introduce you to our next speaker, who is Sherry Thompson. She is a human design business alchemist, and she helps you align your business strategy to your human design. Welcome, Sherry. It's so incredible to have you here on our stage today.
Hi, Abby. So nice to be here as well. I'm excited to share. My voice is a little bit hoarse. I've been got by, when kids go back to school and they share all their germs. So we're working with a hoarse voice, but it's all perfect.
We're good to go. Over to you, Sherry. Please take the stage.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here and to be able to share a little bit more about human design and how it can support you to create impact in a way that's totally aligned for you. Because if you're listening to this right now, I know that the reason you're listening is because there is an impact that you desire to make. There is a purpose and message in your soul and in your heart that you want to share, that you want to bring into the world. And that can feel terrifying at times. That can feel like it's this really big part and you don't know where to start with it. And so in my journey, I'm just going to share a little bit about my journey, because it will put into context how this came through for me. So my whole background has been in marketing and business development. Excuse me. When I started my first business, it was a marketing agency, and I knew I needed to become more visible, to create the impact, to grow the business. And because it was my business, all of a sudden, everything that I knew about marketing and business development, I kind of forgot. I was like, what was all that stuff I was doing before? I didn't know how to make it applicable to myself in that moment, because all of a sudden it was kind of like I was selling myself. Even though it was an agency, it was like I was selling myself. And I would go to networking and I would hand over my business card and I would say, this is my company, but please don't go to the website. I would literally say, please don't go to the website, because the website wasn't really a reflection and it felt terrifying for people to see what I was putting out into the world in that context. I grew the agency through relationships, actually. And then I decided, I knew that there was so much in my heart and soul beyond that I wanted to share, that wasn't really creating the impact that I desired. It was a great vehicle at the time to leave employment. However, I really wanted to create this impact in the world, because as a mum, I knew there was a better way to be doing business that didn't involve me working 18-hour days, which is what I was doing in the agency. And so I started to transition the business. And the first step of that was to move to Bali with my son. I started world schooling with him. He was 6 years old. And because I was living in integrity with the message of freedom that I wanted to share, I knew that I could step out and share the message energetically in integrity with what I was saying. But it wasn't easy. Like, that was even more challenging, because all of a sudden I was going deeper into, this is what I'm here to share. This is what I believe. This is my vision for the world. This is the change that I see in the paradigm. This is the hope that I have for the next generation. And really stepping into that required so much courage, so much vulnerability, and so much connection with my impact. And so there's two pieces that I know really created the difference for me, really made the difference for me. And I'm going to share those with you today, because I also hope they make the difference for you too. The first one was to find what it was that was really the impact that I desired to make in the world. Because when I tune into that every single day, there's no way that I cannot show up. When I tune into what is the impact that I desire to create in the world, there is nothing that is going to stop me. No sore throat, no cold that is going to stop me showing up and sharing that in the way that is aligned for me, because it's so important. So for me, the impact that I desire to create in the world is this beautiful ripple effect, so that the next generation have more connection to who they are, so that they have more presence, so that they have more connection with each other, so that there is less addiction, suicide, depression. That is why I do the work that I do. That is the impact that I desire to make. And the way that I create that impact is to work with leaders and legacy makers, just like you, who also have impact to create and to share in the world, to create that paradigm shift, that ripple effect. So I work with people like you to bring you into alignment with your human design, because that's the second piece, right? The second piece of this is to find the way that works for you. Because not every way is going to be the right way for you. But when you know the way that works for you, and you know how to tap into your energy, which is unique to you, nobody else has the same, then you know how to move forward. You know how to work with the confidence, the empowerment that you have access to consistently in your energy. Now, human design, for those of you who don't know, is a tool of self-awareness and a tool for empowerment. It is not a one size fits all. It is not about, labeling you or boxing you or putting you into some kind of category. It's actually about having this awareness of how your energy works. It's having this connection with your own strengths and empowerment, so that you can lean into those. We don't need to look at, in the spiritual, in the personal development world, there can be a lot of focus on blocks and what's not working and all of those things. I come at it from a completely different angle. I look at your human design and say, this is where you're truly empowered. And when you can step into that, not only do you have access to this really amazing anchor that allows you to walk with the fear, to navigate that fear in a way that is totally aligned for you, but you also know what is aligned for you in how you show up in your business and how you put your message forwards. For example, for me, the way that I love to share my message, because I'm a 5-2 sacral generator, which means that I respond. It means that I'm very intuitive. The way that I love to share my message is to be in the energy and to really tune into, okay, what is it that I really desire to share right now? What am I responding to in this moment? What is lighting me up to share in this moment? That works really well for me. For some of you, it won't work in the same way, because you have a different profile that requires different aspects to be brought in. So maybe you like to plan in advance. Maybe you like to experiment and be more playful with it. So finding that way for you not only brings this liberation of your message that creates this impact, which all of a sudden becomes more magnetic because you're working with your energy, but it's also going to bring that sense of empowerment that allows you to move with the fear, to navigate the fear, to find your version of courage, to share the impact that you're here to share in the world. One more thing I want to share with you that human design does. I spent ages and ages and lots of investments, time, focus, effort, all the time, questions. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? Can you relate to that? Did you ever ask, what is my purpose? Or in my case, obsess about what is my purpose? When I discovered human design, it gave me a literal blueprint of what my purpose is in the world. Now, it doesn't say this is your purpose and it's the same as everybody else with this purpose, because you bring your experience, your life journey into the context of your purpose, the energy of it. But what it does do is gives you so much clarity. So you don't have to be looking for the answers. You can really anchor into what is true for you. And what is true for you is not true for everybody else. So the more you can embrace this and have this self-awareness, this self-empowerment, then the more you can create impact in the world, navigate with the fear, and find the way to share your message in a really beautifully aligned way. This is the way that every action that you take has an amplified impact in the world. This is where people stop and listen because they are so magnetized to what you're saying, and the ripple effect is huge. Never underestimate the ripple effect. It's enormous. So if you would like to find out more about human design, I'm really happy to share, and I have lots of resources as well. If this is your first time looking at human design, I would invite you to get your chart and have a little look at what is going on for you so that you've got that awareness. And if it's aligned for you, then it becomes a really potent tool. Like Abby said, it's a tool. It's not like this rigid set of rules. It's a tool that you get to lean into, and it's really beautiful. Thank you for listening.
Harry, thank you so much. Well done with your voice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Alter it all. And I love that you were talking about you just don't let anything hold you back, not even like your voice. Your mission is so powerful. I love how you talk about human design.
Thank you.
You explain it so eloquently and so beautifully, and it is such an incredible tool. You were talking there about freedom.
Mm-hmm.
How has human design and human design and your experiences in this world and through your business, how has all of that come together to create that freedom for you?
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting actually, because freedom, I think, can change and evolve for people as well. So when I first started my business, the freedom that I desired was to not have to travel 200 miles and leave my son as a baby for 3 days a week with my parents. That was my version of freedom at the time. And then as it evolved, it actually moved into being able to world school. And now it's evolved into being able to choose everything, the time that I work, how I share my message, all of those different pieces. And so I think there's this evolutionary piece of freedom as well that comes into play experientially. But with human design, what I found that it has done is freed me from anything that was placing my power outside of me. So any attachment I had to, tactics or blueprints that were outside of me that were not aligned for me, I was able to bring the power back inside because I had this innate understanding of what is aligned for me, what is true for me, what feels good for me, but also how much I can trust in that as well. And the trust piece in itself is, for me, the biggest liberation for so many people, to be able to really deeply trust in yourself, to know that you already know what is best for you, really. You already know what is aligned for you. And being able to do that, navigating the fear, because fear is always there. We just never got taught how to work with fear. We never got taught how to move with fear, and recognizing that when we have that trust in ourselves, that we get to navigate fear a lot easier.
I love that. It really simplifies things, doesn't it? I think as entrepreneurs, we can be really susceptible to chasing like this, it's the shiny object syndrome. It's like, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. But actually, when we're really understand our energy and what we're aligned to, it makes it a lot easier to say no to things. I think it really stops the overwhelm and the burnout and the overworking, so that we can really sort of step into our own flow and to be able to do the things that really light us up, our zone of geniuses.
100%. And I think that in itself is a journey as well, because, you know, we get the awareness of our human design, and then it's really exciting. We want to know all the things, and I get it. But the embodiment part of that journey is where that magic happens, is where the overwhelm really stops and the burnout really stops. So the more that you can really lean into the embodiment of your strategy and your authority, they're the key pieces for anybody who knows a little bit about human design. And if you're about to go explore it, then strategy and authority, the more you can embody it by connecting with it and trusting it, the more that you will experience like all of those things that Abby said. It's really potent, really powerful.
Fantastic. Sherry, thank you so much for sharing your zone of genius and your purpose on our stage. We're so excited that you're going to be one of our speakers on our Women Thrive Summit in March. And we love to see you on the course and in the communities. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. So we'd love to know in the comments how you're feeling into this. We have had some incredible speakers so far talking about lots of different things, but really, you know, I feel like it's this real confidence piece that's coming up on the call today about, you know, really stepping into that fear and really owning our voice, owning our message. What do we want to share with the world? How do we want to stand in our purpose? How do we want to share our vision? I see and feel that coming loud and clear today, Ramonda.
Yeah, I definitely feel it. And I love that we're being so open and honest and vulnerable to say there is fear. And when we step out to do something we've never done before, or, you know, just really conquering our dreams, there is that inevitable fear. And a lot of women have been so open about it today. And I think it just allows other people to really feel like, you know, it's okay to feel that fear and try and do it anyway. Because if you are doing something for the first time, it's inevitable that you will have to face some of those feelings and actually overcome it. That was a really beautiful talk and just really inspiring by Shari. I think understanding ourselves on a much deeper level, it allows us to embrace who we are. I think authenticity in general is being able to accept and embrace who we are, because if we have that fear of, let's say, being visible and showing up and sharing our story, we close up because we want to be protective of ourselves, our hearts, and we don't want to be kind of stepping out and being honest and truthful. But what I found through my own experience is that it is painful. Yes, it is scary to be ourselves. But if you own your truth, if you speak your truth, and you shed that fear of shame, of guilt, of judgment, this is where that magic of you becoming truly authentic and real and connecting people to a much deeper level without having to wear a mask, without having to say, oh, look at me, I'm all perfect, I don't feel that fear. Oh, no, of course, it's easy for me, right? So when we get to have these conversations, actually, okay, let's just call it out. Just say, what is that big elephant in the room? Let's talk about it. And once you've done that, we can just move past it and just be ourselves and actually have real, honest conversations that will be life-changing for somebody, right?
Yes. So I truly believe, and in my experience of coaching women and mentoring women for many, many years, especially women that are in, you know, leadership positions like business owners, leaders in corporation, founders, CEOs, we carry a lot of shame as women. We carry a lot of shame. It's a lot of things that we can often feel shameful about. And really learning to remove that, to forgive ourselves for anything that we are, anything that we feel needs to be forgiven about ourselves, anything that we've done. Like, it's very easy, I think, as women, for us to beat ourselves up, and like you say, like, just really try and represent ourselves that everything's fine and everything's perfect, and it's not. We're human beings. We're on the we're on the roller coaster of emotions as human beings. So many of us are. And to really accept ourselves, I always say, accept yourself, warts and all. All the things that you might think are a little bit weird about yourself, or strange, or that people might think is a bit peculiar. Actually embrace that, because that's what differentiates us. That's what differentiates us and sets us apart from others. And that's how we can really, really stand out and become leaders within our fields. Really step into that thought leadership. And we experience it time and time again, Ramonda, when we are on these beautiful connection calls that we hold every week with our speakers. The testimonial that we shared this morning was sharing that, right? So we come onto these calls. When a woman comes onto one of these calls and really shares vulnerably and opens up in a vulnerable way, first of all, it's really important to do that in a safe space, to know that you're supported by the other women within that space. But and we provide that, obviously, when a woman can open up in that way, when we can voice our fears and share it with others, it becomes less scary. And it means that from the support of the communities around us and the women around us, we can really start to unpick those fears and remove those fears, and maybe that shame that surrounds it. But most importantly, it opens up the door for other women to share. Because I don't know about you, but it's very easy to go into communities or to come onto calls like this and just to think, am I the only one that's feeling like this? Everyone else looks like and feels like they've got everything together. And actually, that is not often the case. When we can actually put a voice to our fears and communicate it in that way, and invite the support and the love and, the support especially from other women. We're so good at doing this as women. We can really step through those fears with that support, with that community. And, this is about unleashing the power of women's voices. This event, we can unleash that together when we share.
Yeah. I just want to bring something here on this discussion right now. Why is it so important to be self-empowered, to why we do what we do in unleashing women's voices? Because I believe that over centuries, historically, women have been controlled by guilt, fear, and shame. We've been told we need to stay quiet. We've been told that we shouldn't step out and speak our truth, that, us stepping out causes problems in the world. We've been asked to stay quiet for so long. And there is not only a trauma of the life experiences right now, but there might be generational trauma in women feeling that guilt and fear and shame and really stepping out. So why is this so important now that women have beautiful big missions to do their work that they call to do in this world? But the reason why they're not able to do it and make a huge shift and change in paradigm in today's world is because of that old belief, that witchery, that women are witches, right? That we shouldn't be speaking our truth. Well, it's time to change that paradigm, but it does require a safe space, as you mentioned. Now, speaking on safe spaces, there was a speaker on our stage a while back who talked about communication, but also she advocates for safe spaces. And what she constantly said to me, that she's been part of many communities in online and physical events and communities, that not everywhere she felt safe, encouraged, supported, or heard. And why is it so important? So I would love to call on a testimonial by Jan Dowdy, who speaks on safe spaces for women. So I'd love for my team to play that video for me, please.
I'm Jan Dowdy. I'm a journalist and a communication strategist. I help women say what they mean what they say, without being mean. I've understood that women who are highly accomplished need elite women to get them to an elite level. Sometimes women need that safe space in order to feel that they are seen, heard, and valued. And I felt that Thrive platform aligned with the kind of things that I'm doing in creating those happy, joyful, productive, creative spaces for women where we can feel safe. And that was a priority for me. So I've done hundreds of people in terms of public speaking engagements, and I do train in that. So for me, it was the types of global personalities and that collective contribution perhaps was more new for me. But the collaboration I found was a nice addition to my world. Raymonda's quite talented in sourcing talent. There is a genuine sense that women want to lift other women. I've been in circumstances where that has not been the case. But with the collaboration platform at Thrive, I found that there was really none of that. And I think that is a key to people showcasing their talents well. What was interesting for me was the bonds and the opportunities that came afterwards. And I still today have connections with those ladies who support me on my journey. And it's been a lovely positive theme in my growth journey after events are over. So I would always say to anybody entering this platform, it isn't just the thing that you signed up for, it's the package. And it's often unexpected gifts of relationships and support and community that you're going to have probably for the rest of your life. You've got this pool of incredible talent, expertise. I value that. And I think it's the diversity and to have a community that sees you in your full sense. I always value input. And there's a nice balance in this platform where you've got your things, ideas, perspective, and then you've got a nice facilitation of that to maximize its potential. I think that's what we're here for. You'll find like-minded support structures. The idea of women from global backgrounds and global perspectives coming together to make impact, contribute their talents, can never be belittled. So often we go for years carrying these little gems inside of us, but we never present it to the world. This is a good place to start. It's a place to grow and it's a place to start. And that's quite rare. Don't get those spaces very often.
Thanks so much to Jan. She's so passionate about the platform and women empowerment and being able to speak our truth. There's so much to unpack there, but I think it just speaks so loud and clear how important for us to come together and create this amazing space and opportunities to connect and build those relationships. And whether you're a speaker or attendee, you'll have and you'll make those lifelong friendships here. Abby, what stood out for you from this testimonial?
Yeah, I mean, I love Jan and I love how she shares her experiences and her message with the world. She was talking there about diverse communities, and I think it's really important that when we are looking for these supportive communities where we can grow and thrive, just like Women Thrive, that we are in diverse communities, that we are in communities from women with different backgrounds, different cultures, different countries, different ethnicities, different ages, different stages within their business. And that brings a whole richness to the community. So I definitely see that in Women Thrive. And I just love that Jan advocates for that, and that she shares that in such a powerful way.
Yeah, I agree. If we surround ourselves only with the people who think the same way, speak the same way, we don't open our eyes and potential to grow, to see different perspectives, to learn something new. And I always say to women, go out there, surround yourself with different people, have conversations with people who have a different point of view, because you never know what you could learn. Maybe, just maybe, your vision is being limited by your own experiences right now, by your own awareness of the world as you know. And if you start to have conversations with people from different parts of the world who may have same experiences, but they have also different perspectives and how they deal with these situations, you could learn so much. And that's what I love, that some of our ladies for the rest of this event are joining from Australia. So we had our ladies from the UK. Now we're headed to Australia, which is still a decent time there. And this evening, if you do come back, or afternoon, depending where you're watching from, you come back for our later event today, you'll meet other women from different parts of the world. And this is what makes this space so beautiful and unique, that you get to hear from women from different walks of life and the places in the world. Okay, without further ado, we got our next speaker coming up just now. I'm so excited to invite Mary Ferguson. So Mary is a feminine embodiment coach and founder on Monarchy Project, a dynamic catalyst for transformative change in the realms of feminine embodiment, youth empowerment, and creative expression. Mary, welcome.
Hello, amazing people. It has been such a wonderful platform already, and I'm feeling the fire, I'm feeling the passion, and what game changers are here. Like the inspiration from Ray, from Abby, and all the amazing speakers earlier. And all of these pieces that are weaving together beautifully about coming into self-love, knowing our human design. I'm a manifesting generator. So coming from my sacral of what feels good in my body and being able to speak and express what's alive for me and what feels good for me is something that took a little bit of practice. And so as a feminine embodiment coach, I'm also an international author, a visionary. I have a master's in education, specializing in the arts. And I'm also an advanced breathwork facilitator. And combining all of these skills in the life that I've had has been a process that has unveiled over time. And a lot of the women here have spoken about, not always being this confident. And my heart is beating fast now, stepping into the fear and doing it anyway, leaping into the courage, trusting yourself in what's going to come out that is going to be authentically you. And so I had my notes written down over here, but I was like, what am I going to really speak into to share a little bite-sized gold nugget, but also allow you to feel me? Because when we feel the energy of the other people around us, who we surround ourselves with, that's the spark that ignites us to go, I want to know that person. I want to be around this woman. And it was this Thrive space where I met Abby and I saw the beautiful work of Ray and these amazing women that were coming into my field. I was like, wow, I want to be like that. And coming from an education background, I've had 16 years speaking in front of children, teenagers, and young people, in front of parents, in front of large crowds in the education industry. But then stepping into this field, into a bigger platform and a wider network, having the dream to have a bigger impact, I was like, how do I embody that into something more? And I was the shy girl. I was that little girl at school that kept quiet. I was the little girl that, would try really hard and people please. And these themes of self-love that came through earlier was something that I dealt with growing up. And it was a real challenge for me to really honor and love myself. And even as an adult, that's something that I had to tackle with and embody and feel into the yuckiness of all of the stuff that comes up when we're dealing with our emotions and our energy. And even moving into motherhood while being in the teaching realm and dealing with all of these rites of passage and these growth, developmental phases and becoming a woman, becoming a mother, moving into life and And being able to really understand myself has really come back into my field, particularly in the last few years. And so these pieces of being a heart-led leader is something that I want to speak into today, because all of the speakers have spoken from their heart. They've spoken from their passion, and they've spoken from a deep mission and purpose. And sometimes along the way, we lose that. And I did. I lost that. You know, being able to be that little girl that loved dancing, you know, being able to jump on the stage and shine my light bright. I loved hip hop, I loved dance, but then coming back into the real world and closing the doors and shutting my mouth and shutting off my voice and being the yes girl, yes mom, yes dad, yes, 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 I'll do everything for everybody else, rippled into my adult world. You know, the people pleaser in me wanted to be the good teacher, do everything in the school setting, do everything for other people, that it led me into burnout. It led me into anxiety and depression. And I lost that spark. I lost that spark, that expression, that core piece of me that when I was in my heart and in that light and in my artistry, that part of me was like God, source, divinity coming through. And I forgot that growing up. So I want to speak a little bit about self-love and the inner child and how it links to this feminine energy. And this is the work I love delving into and sharing with teens and kids, you know, with the magic of creativity and the magic of being embodied and speaking from the heart, because everything is all connected. And so I found when I stopped dancing as an adult, I stopped doing it for myself because I was doing it for everybody else. I was teaching kids to do it, and I was creating this over here and doing this, that my spark within, the magnetism within me, started dying and started dimming out. And it made me sick. And when I was going into motherhood, you know, I had my beautiful daughter, and then I was reinvigorated. But then this rite of passage of going into motherhood, you know, that threw a whole other kettle of fish of balancing my energy, understanding about her energy, you know, navigating relationships, trying to go back into teaching, but also spending the time, you know, doing this on top of doing my master's. And it was like this overwhelm of stuff because I was so ambitious, and the Virgo in me as well, you know, wanted to people please, wanted to be the best, wanted to achieve and do all the things that I had done as a little girl. But then, you know, something happened, and I shared this last time I was on. I experienced 3 miscarriages back to back. And that set my whole nervous system and my body to really reset, to really go within. And I had to lose myself. I actually had to let that spark fizzle out into the ashes, and to really think about and to feel what that felt like, to reignite that spark again, to let the phoenix rise, and that queen within me owning that I wanted to change my future. I wanted to lead my life, my relationships, me as a mother, me as a teacher, me as a speaker, as a paradigm shifter, as a visionary, with such clarity and heart and passion that it just gets to be easy. And this platform allows that to happen. It gives me the energy to step into my alignment, to step into my genius zone, as Abby was saying, and to build that fire within, that magnetism within, to allow that sovereign light and spark of expression to come through. You know, half the time when I speak, I have these thoughts and ideas. I'm like, I'm going to veer off, but I'm also a connector when I look at epigenetics and my human design and all of these amazing tools. And I just have to feel what feels good and allow any of the mistakes or the errors or the things that we let people worry about just pass. and be in the moment, as Shari was saying, being in the moment. And how do we allow ourselves to be in the moment? Requires a breath. To require us to be back in our body, to feel into our heart. And this is heartistry. There are all leaders in this field that are going to change the world. All of the people in here, even the people listening, if one piece of advice hits you in the heart that inspires you to make change and encourages you to just take that one little step to feel into your spark, to let that little girl feel that love and that compassion, to let her shine as brightly as she so deserves, because you are worthy. And we need to say that to ourselves more, because it's true. And this is truth. And Ray was talking about speaking your truth, and you can feel the passion, because when we speak into our truth and you feel it, this is something that inspires our family members. It inspires our children. And there's been talk about legacy here. And each of us have the power to do that, even if it impacts one person. And so I'm really excited that, I'm in this platform. I've taken those risks. I've let that little girl feel loved, feel worthy. And I've done a lot of inner child work. I've done a lot of healing of the sister wounds that Ray was talking about in regards to the past of being unworthy, the guilt, the shame, the competition pieces. This is how we celebrate in sisterhood. This is how we help uplift each other. And this is the work I love doing through a number of different modalities. And also as a connector, I do like to keep speaking. And being in flow, and that energy of the feminine, when we tap into that expression, and for me, it's tapping into the feeling, which then allows through my body that expression to come out. And so I work with all of these modalities. I also work with understanding the feminine energy along with our masculine energy and how they can dance together. Because how we dance with self is how we get to dance with life. And I'm going to leave it there, because if anyone else wants to learn more, come and chat with me. But this is the work I love doing, and bringing awareness and bringing that sense of purpose and flow and energy, and balancing and harmonizing that within self, so that you get to rise and be the best version of you. And that it impacts your relationships, impacts your business, impacts anything you do, because everywhere you walk is a blessing, because you were born to be here. I was born to be here. So if we speak more like these, we speak these statements of truth with such passion and believe a bit, like you got to believe it. And it comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. You felt it from everybody. And this is the artistry of heartistry. And this is what being human is about, because we are the artist and we are the canvas. So let's dance, let's play, let's make art, let's have fun. And these amazing women and myself, we get to do that. So thank you. And I'm going to pass it back on, because I like losing track of time.
Marie, we were talking about authenticity, and that is that right there. Seriously, like we're like, oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for sharing your beautiful story, and for providing that inspiration that even from the darkest, deepest, most broken depths, you can rise up and you can really be a beacon of hope and inspiration to others. And I really, really love your work, Marie. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Oh, thank you.
What does it mean to you to be in communities of women like Women Thrive?
It means it's this beautiful reflection. These women in these spaces that are celebrating each other. And I see it in the conversations where we're helping each other. People are celebrating like big wins, little wins, any win, and calling in that energy and that vibration of positive, uplifting celebration is a beautiful reflection of the power that humanity can have, that women can lead in. And this part of community, I really love bringing that into my local communities and global communities, because when we as women, as mothers, as role models lead from the heart and have us supporting each other, our children get to see that. My daughter gets to see me speaking to women from around the world, and she's a little leader in herself. She's 7. And that legacy that we are all co-creating together, like that's the magic right there. And this is a really beautiful time to be alive, because we get to connect with each other. We've been talking about paradigm shifting. We've been talking about visionary, changes. And this platform does that. So I love those pieces.
Well, we are very excited to welcome your inner child to come and speak on our stage in March on the Women Thrive Summit and on these beautiful showcases, and to have you in our community. Thank you so much, Marie. Thank you. My heart says thank you to you, to your heart. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone. Okay. It goes so quickly. These events go so quickly. We have our final speaker. I hope that you're ready for her. She's been waiting patiently behind the scenes, and we are definitely saving, well, all of our speakers are the best, but I love to say we save the best until last, right? So I would love to invite you onto our stage, Megan Gibson. Megan is the founder of Free to Be You podcast. She's an identity and alignment coach and an author, and she's an expert in the transformative journey of deep self-discovery. And she is going to be sharing her beautiful wisdom with us today. Welcome to the stage, Megan.
Hello. Sorry, I had to unmute myself there. I have been listening to all of these amazing women thinking, oh my gosh, what a hard act to follow. And funnily enough, that's actually one of the things that I'm going to be talking about at the summit. So I've been thinking there's so much that I could share, because I, like Marie, like to talk. I actually started out as a hairdresser, so talking is not something that is difficult for me. However, speaking in front of amazing women and after amazing women brings up all the same things that it would bring up for anybody. And so my talk at the summit is going to be silencing that imposter. So like how to have the courage, how to find the courage to start over or start something new. And so I thought it was just fitting. I was going to share that a little bit later, but I thought it was fitting to start with that, to say, like, my heart is pounding after listening to you amazing women that have gone before me, and how funny that all the things, it doesn't matter how much work we do or how deep we go into getting to know ourselves, we are still humans and we do still feel these things. So I really would like to just share a little bit about my story and kind of how I got into the work that I do, what it means to be an identity and alignment coach, because there's a lot of different ways that, we can dig into ourselves, and there's a lot of different ways that we can become more self-aware. And one of the things that I believe is that over time, as we grow up, we are an accumulation of everything that we've been through. Our identity is something that is shaped through our experiences, the good and the bad. And what can happen, definitely in my story, is that we become who we think we need to be based on all the roles that we have as women. And we tend to abandon who we know ourselves to be as little girls or just over time in order to wear all those hats and be all the things that we need to be. And so I talk a lot about this abandoning of self, and it's not something that is necessarily in the negative, because to be a mum, we do have to put ourselves second at times, and we have to, nurture our families and our relationships. But we tend to put our dreams on the shelf. We tend to put some of those things that we wanted to do when we were younger aside in order to be the best mum. That was definitely for me. I always wanted to be a mum. I always wanted to be an amazing mum, and I threw myself into that role. And even though I did things along the way, alongside being a mum, I never really, I just became who I needed to be. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people listening that understand what I mean when I say that we abandon that sense of self. And it's not until we get older that we start to realize, like, we don't really know what we want. When we start to have time and our children grow up, I've actually got 7 children in my care, 3 of my own and 4 with my partner. And it's a busy time still, but they're older now and there's a lot more free time. And so when we get to that stage in life and we start to think about what we want for our next chapter, I've spoke to so many women and I say, what do you want? Like, what do you really want? Now that you have time, what do you really want? And I've had women in tears saying they don't actually know what they want. And it's really hard to answer that question because we haven't dusted those things off for so long. And so one of the things that I believe is that in order for us to really figure out what we want and answer that, we have to actually rediscover who we are now. So it's that identity piece. We have to re-identify with our sense of self based on everything that we've been through and everything that's shaped us. And that's a deep process. We've talked about the other women have talked about some of the ways that they go deep into that sense of rediscovery. And for me, it's a lot more about an unpacking or an unraveling of the self, the identities that we've had to be, the ones that we've taken on that aren't really us or not us anymore. We have to unpack that. And we have to rescue the gold and the wisdom out of those experiences, because there's a lot of things that we as women have to go through and grow through. And there's a lot of transferable skills and wisdom and value in that. And the only way we can rescue those things is to actually go and unpack it. And the really beautiful thing about it is that we only get to repack the things that are actually really us, that are actually the things that really make us excited and proud of who we are. And we leave the other things, we let them go. There's a letting go process, a decluttering process as well. And guess what? That bag that we've been carrying all that stuff in that we didn't know was there, it gets really light and it gets a lot easier for us to start to navigate our world and those around us. And so then the next piece is to then align ourselves, align that new identity or the real identity that we have, the real self, the true self, our true nature. We then get to make choices that are in alignment with that. If you have this self-awareness around the things that are important to us and what we want to align with. And I like to call that gaining an internal compass. Funny little side note. I'm the worst person to leave out in the bush with no one directing me back. I would not get back. I was not born with an internal compass. I turned the map, I'm showing my age now. I had one of the Refidexes back in the day before GPS. I don't know where north and east and west is. That's just me. I don't know if anyone else relates to that. But what I love about this work is that when we have this real understanding of self, we get to rediscover those things that are important. We now have our own true north. We have our own compass, our own points around the compass are those things that are important to us that we're constantly bringing more of and aligning ourselves with in our life. And so now you have an internal compass that's yours, that's uniquely you, that you can start to find your true north and find your vision, where you want to go, what you want to align with. And so that's a little bit about what I do, just to take you to one particular moment in my story about why I do this work and how I ended up here. And it's a moment, it's literally a moment in time. And so I found myself in my 40s, really lost. Like, I had been a people pleaser my entire life. I never felt good enough for the people around me. That goes right back. Marie talked about inner child. I know exactly where the origin of that story is from. And I got to tell you that when you please everybody else and you put everybody else before you your entire life, that it gets really exhausting. Really exhausting. And when I got to 40, that is exactly how I felt every day. Didn't matter how much sleep I got, I felt exhausted. And so this one day I went for a run on the beach, and I actually hate running. I don't even know why I was running. I was running away from how I felt. And I was running down the beach. I was listening to Pink's new album at the time. It's called It Hurts to Be Human. I don't know if anyone's a Pink fan, but I had that blaring in my ears, and I was running down the beach, and the sun was fading over the horizon, and I just kept running. My lungs were burning, had tears rolling down my eyes. And I just realized like how unhappy I was in every area of my life. And I had no clue how I was going to fix it. And I just remember feeling like a failure, really. Like, I got to 40, I tried so hard my entire life to make everything perfect, to please everybody, and that I felt like that. I felt like I should just be happier, fitter, wealthier, more in love, all the things. And I just had this deep desire to feel free of that feeling. I really wanted to express myself freely and escape the shame and failure and regret. We talked about that before. I wanted to escape that feeling, and that's why I was running, doing something I didn't really want to do. I just wanted to be accepted for me. And so the decision I made on that day, on that run, was to choose me. And I decided that I wasn't in a relationship that I was happy in. I decided on that very run that I was going to do something about that. And I took some space and I chose me for the first time in my entire life to try and figure out what I wanted. And it was this work that actually helped me figure that out. So the breakthrough that I had was that I instantly felt relief. I don't know if you've felt relief before, but it's a very powerful feeling to feel, just be able to breathe. And so I felt exposed, but I also felt free. And so what I learned was that I figured out what was important to me by having the courage to step into what we've been talking about this whole time, the fear. Like, I stepped over the line and let go of the things that I needed to in order to create the space to just explore what I'm talking about. And I've done that. My life has done a complete 180 now. I'm here talking to you. I have an amazing relationship with an amazing man. We have a beautiful life. And I've been able to create that because I know who I am. I know what I want. More importantly, I know what I don't want. And I know what I want to align with. And you can spot it a mile away when you have that level of self-awareness. And the thing that's going to stop you is you. And so the hardest thing to do is to keep choosing yourself. And that's why I love this one of the reasons I love this platform and being around other women who are brave is that when you are like that, or when you're around people like that, when you're around people that are authentic, they give you permission to be the same. They give you permission to have courage. And so my business is called Freed to Be You, because I do believe that it's on the other side of that freeing yourself up, feeling freed, that you do get to be you. And we definitely get to be us in this beautiful community of women. And I'm so excited to be speaking on the summit. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story today.
Megan, oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you for following your inner compass and saying yes to yourself and freeing yourself, because today you get to do this powerful work and share your testimony with other people of what's possible when you say yes to yourself and you stop people pleasing. For far too long, women have been conditioned to be everything to everyone. Once you're a mother, you lose your life and you have to, just be everything to everyone. And this is you sharing your story of how you self-empowered yourself. I love this mission. I was just like nearly crying when I was listening to you. Abby, what did you take from Megan's talk?
I know that as women, we all experience this, right? We go through such evolution so many times within our lives, coming into womanhood, having a baby, in relationships, going through, the later stages of life, menopause. All of these times we can really lose ourselves. It's like, who am I? My body's changed. My responsibilities have changed. Like, who am I anymore? And to be able to listen to you tell your story so eloquently, and to know that there is someone like you, Megan, that is able to really lead your beautiful community through this transformation. It's so inspiring. I just picture you on that beach, just running and the expansion and, really like feeling that unhappiness within your life, and then going and doing something about it. And it's like you said, we are responsible for changing that, right? We need to step into that. It's just very inspirational. I'm so excited that you're speaking on our stage, Megan.
Me too. I'm very excited.
We're looking forward to it. And if you haven't actually got to watch or listen to the Women Thrive podcast, Megan's interview has been recently shared. I think it was last week that we spotlighted Megan, and she shared much more about her story and her mission work that she does today. So if you feel called to really look into your life and perhaps make some changes, find your own inner compass and your true North Star in your life that will give you that fulfillment and pleasure and joy back into your life, then get in touch with Megan, our identity alignment coach. And of course, do make sure you join us at the Women Thrive to hear her talk. Megan, thank you so much for sharing your heart today with us.
Thanks, Ray.
Oh, Abby, I can't believe we're coming to an end of today's showcase. I'm like in tears, all the good tears and emotions today.
I know. Our speakers really spoke from the heart today, and definitely the themes of self-love, authenticity, and just really giving ourselves permission to create the things that we want to create in this life and to share that with the world. So it's been really inspirational. I love hosting these events with you.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thanks to all of our audience who have been listening to this, perhaps sharing to their own audience, leaving comments, cheerleading each other. I pop into different platforms because we are streaming this to Facebook, to our Facebook group, Facebook page, our LinkedIn, YouTube. So I see people watching in different parts, in different platforms. But we may be coming to the end of this showcase right now, and I hope you get to connect with all the speakers on our stage Don't go anywhere yet, because this evening or afternoon, depending where you are, we have another showcase that we have made sure that we have the time zones catered for, as our audience are global. They're joining from all around the world. So do make sure you come back at 7 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Central European time, or 2 p.m. EST, depending where you're watching from. Of course, this will be available for replay. Do make sure you share it with your community. And I hope we get to see you later on. Abby, are you excited about this evening again?
I'm very excited. We've got a lot of speakers to share with you, more inspirational stories, more beautiful gifts to share with you. So yes, please make sure that you join us. You will definitely be inspired and motivated to take that next step.
This is so powerful, so life-changing. It really brings tears to my eyes to know that we have brought together such a beautiful community of incredible people, and we get to transform lives through the power of our stories, through the power of unleashing our magical purpose and stories in this life. And that's what it's really about. At the core of everything we do is women empowerment, supporting each other, creating safe space for women to share their message, their stories, and to create those connections. So every month we showcase our speakers every Thursday, third Thursday of the month. And also the first Thursday of every month, we do networking events. So if you head over to womenthrivesummit.com, get into our mailing list, because this is how you're going to be notified about any of our virtual events or live events. We've got so much coming up. Next month, beginning of November, 2nd of November to be exact, we have a virtual event where you actually get in the room, not only to network this time around, but be part of our incredible book launch. So if you don't know Women Thrive, we publish Women Thrive, Inspiring True Stories of Women Overcoming Adversity. This is a beautiful book co-authored by 8 of our authors, and our new second edition is launching 2nd of November. 2 and 2. I mean, this is, you couldn't really get a better plan for that. Abby, are you excited about this event, this book coming out next month?
I'm so excited about it. Not only am I excited about the book, but also the fact that this is going to be a live event. It's going to be in the beautiful Spanish city of Valencia. We have got an incredible venue. We're bringing women together from all over the world, not just for our book launch and our authors for a book launch, but we also have our Spanish retreat that is going to be happening, a beautiful villa in the hills of Valencia, and then going down to the second part of our retreat, down by the beach and into the city. So yes, so many things that are happening in November, and I think we have a few spaces left as well for the retreat, Ramonda.
Yes, we do. Actually, our invitation has extended beyond just the women who are involved in the book and our speakers, and we have opened a few more spaces that are available to be part of the Women Thrive retreat. So make sure I drop a link. So if you are interested, make sure that you get in touch with us and let us know. We have some dates. We have a few more spots for the November retreat, as well as a new date added for June. So if you are interested in being part of in-person events that we're hosting, so this is our beautiful luxury retreat, as well as we're going to be doing our book launch in Valencia. So it's a one-day event where you get to meet our incredible authors and speakers, and this is our beautiful production of the Thrive Talks. You'll get to hear more about that very, very soon. I don't want to really reveal everything, but make sure you book your spot and check out our events, be on our mailing list, and you will be informed. Abby, thank you so much for co-hosting our speaker showcase and unleashing the power of Women Voices event today. And we'll get to see you later on in the day, so make sure you come back and watch the rest of it. Thanks so much, Abby, and everyone watching, and all of our speakers. You have been amazing. I'm super proud of everyone. Thanks to our team for making this happen, and we look forward to seeing you later today. Bye-bye for now.